of the old game, but chances are you have no idea what everyday life was really like on the Oregon Trail. Packing up your entire life to face a 2,000-mile stretch of death, disease, and danger. Life on the Oregon Trail was actually a lot more exciting and at the same time a lot more boring than you'd probably ever think. Today we're exploring what life was really like on the Oregon Trail. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel. Oh, and that's just not enough. Leave a comment and let us know what history you would like to experience. Okay, let's get on this wagon. The Oregon Trail was 2,170 miles of danger and boredom that stretched from Missouri to Oregon. To say daily life on the Oregon Trail was difficult is a vast understatement. It was hard work and required uprooting your entire family and deciding to venture west for new opportunities. But that didn't stop thousands of people from hopping onto their wagons and emigrating into the vast unknown. Maybe it was a chance to start over. Maybe it was the thrill of adventure. Maybe it was moving away from their annoying neighbor.
Hello, Newman.
Or maybe it was the promise of a parcel of land double the size of Disneyland. Whatever the reason, people traveling the Oregon Trail had a goal in mind: to make the journey and not to die while doing it. The Homestead Act, signed into law by Abe Lincoln himself in 1862, was also a big motivator. The act said people could claim 160 acres of land if they promised to grow crops on it. Not a bad deal, especially if you consider the fact that it made it easier for single, widowed, and divorced women to claim land in their own names. You go, girl. But what was it really like? Well, let's set the hypothetical scene. It's the mid-19th century. Your current town on the East Coast is overcrowded, and you're sick of living like a sardine in a pretty unhygienic sardine can. Maybe your friend Jebediah won't stop talking your ear off about wolf pelts, and you start to think, hey, maybe this West thing is the best thing. And hey, a football stadium's worth of land in exchange for growing a few crops? What could go wrong? Turns out, a lot can go wrong, especially when you're traveling thousands of miles without modern medicine and infrastructure. And when we say go wrong, we mean death. Death, 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 and death. Everywhere you look, death. Whomever said nature was the best medicine clearly never tried to survive outside with just a flimsy wagon to protect them. If you died crossing the Oregon Trail, 9 times out of 10, it was from some sort of disease and serious illness. Smallpox, flu, measles, mumps, and tuberculosis could jump through an entire wagon camp faster than you can say yee-haw, and those pioneers could do little to prevent it. One of the most dreaded illnesses you could catch was cholera. It could infect someone at breakfast, and then by the time lunch rolled around, they'd be dead. Cholera. That'll ruin an appetite. If you've ever moved anywhere, you know the nightmare that goes along with deciding what to pack up, donate, or toss. Now, multiply that nightmare by 1,000. If you were an Oregon Trail pioneer, you'd have to pack insanely light. Typical wagons could carry 2,000 pounds, which sounds like a lot, but when you consider the fact that 1,800 pounds of that was food, you'd have to reckon with the sad reality of ditching your favorite beat-up lazy boy, or whatever else the 1800s equivalent was at the time. Oregon Trail wagons were packed mostly with food and essentials, and let's just say the grocery list was not exactly a gourmet situation. Pioneers brought along flour, crackers, bacon, sugar, coffee, tea, and beans. They packed light when it came to kitchen supplies, clothes, and other items, and they did it all without the help of organizing guru Marie Kondo. Impressive. Along the way, any animals they brought would likely start getting tired or hurt, and sometimes they'd become food as a result. If you were traveling along the Oregon Trail and something broke, you couldn't store it until you got the chance to repair it. Lightening the load was a constant issue, so pioneers would ditch their broken supplies on the side of the road to save weight. Litter bugs. And hey, if you don't like the idea of seeing trash on the road, you're definitely not going to like this. Human bodies and trash were treated the same among the Oregon Trail pioneers, which is to say, they were ditched hastily on the side of the road. When you factor in a much lower life expectancy and lack of medical care, death was just a fact of life when it came to crossing the Oregon Trail. Everywhere they looked, darkness waited. People died from disease, crossing rivers, horses bucking riders, and/or getting crushed by a wagon wheel. Gun deaths were also pretty common on the trail. Other causes of a trail rider's demise included lightning storms, grass fires, hailstorms, snake bites, gunpowder explosions, suicide, and pioneer-on-pioneer violence. If you passed on to the Great Buffalo Bullpen in the sky, the remaining pioneers would bury your body directly onto the trail so animals and wagons could roll right over it.